Hi everyone, it's Izzy, and I know it's really dark on the camera and I don't know why. It's usually the other way around, and I tried to fix it, but it doesn't look any different as I turn the brightness up. Yeah, it's really pissing me off, but I'm mad in like every single video and I don't want to be mad. But I'm going to be showing y'all the books that I read in September. Okay, so I moved the tripod over some, so hopefully it is somewhat better, but it still looks dark. So if any of y'all know how to fix that, let me know down below in the comments. But the first book I read this month is the Notes from My Captivity by Kathy Parks. So this book was 335 pages. I have my notes, and I read it from September 3rd to September 9th. This was a relatively quick read at the time, but then I read other books faster than I read this one. So I gave this book a 5 out of 5 rating, and it is a work of young adult fiction and contemporary. So going into this book, before I didn't really read a lot of young adult. I mainly read adult, and I didn't really read contemporary. I read historical fiction. So I was very nervous going in, but this is a setting in Russia, and I think Russia is very interesting. I always get scared talking about Russia, but so basically, sorry, my dog's snoring in the background, rolling around on the bed. So our main character, Adrienne, wants to be a reporter when she grows up. So she thinks going on this trip to Siberia, it will be a story of a lifetime and will get her into her dream college and all that kind of stuff. So, but the reason why they're going to Siberia, her stepfather, is it Dan? I think. It doesn't say on the synopsis. So her stepfather is a professor at one of the colleges in Colorado, and he has been searching for this Russian family of, they don't know what they are. They don't know if they're hermits. They don't know if they're cannibals. They don't know if they're witches and wizards. Nobody knows, because nobody has ever seen this family before. And he has been on this trek several times before. By this time, he let Adrienne come along because, as I said, she thinks this will be an article of the lifetime and it will get her into her dream school. And let's just say once they get to Siberia, things don't go as planned. And what I really liked about this book is no matter where you are in the world, people are all the same. We all have the same feelings underneath. And yeah, so the next book I read this month is Star Wars: The Lost Tribe of the Sith, The Collected Stories. So this is by John Jackson Miller, and the books that I have written reviews on Goodreads, I will link down my reviews. So this book was again 385 pages. I started this book on September 9th and I finished it on September 17th. But sadly, I only gave it a 2 out of 5. And obviously being a Star Wars book, the genre is science fiction, a space opera, and adventure fiction. So this book, because you can see right here, I'm trying to read the Star Wars books in chronological order. And so this is the first one in the Old Republic era, which is I think 5,000 years before Phantom Menace. Not exactly sure on that math. But I didn't know going into this book that it was a collection of ebooks put together, and that would have played a big part if I knew that going in, because I just didn't like, it's like each part of the book, it will go to like 1,000 years in the future, and the chapters are so short. Most of them parts were so short. Most of them are only 4 chapters, and I couldn't really connect with the characters. I just found that very difficult, but I did. Ori was my favorite character in this book. I like that storyline the most, and then the final storyline, I think it was 3 parts, I'm not sure, but this wasn't really my cup of tea. I cut my own mouth. It was interesting to learn about the Sith, but it just wasn't really for me. Now, our next book is The Iron King by Maurice Giron. the French accent coming into works. No, so this book was another one that I didn't really know about going in. And it was 327 pages. I started on September 18th and finished on September 25th. And I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. It's a historical fiction fantasy, and the cultural background is French. So this takes place in the 1300s in France and a little bit in England. And the reason I picked up this book is you can see by the quote on the front from George R.R. Martin himself. It says this is the original Game of Thrones. This series is a series that really inspired George R.R. Martin. And I can definitely, reading this, if you've watched or read, or if you've watched Game of Thrones or read A Song of Ice and Fire, some scenes you're like, that is exactly like this, or that's like that. Or I can totally see the inspiration for that in Game of Thrones. So I really enjoyed that. And I don't know if I said, but I gave this a 4 out of 5. And this book was such a good read. If you're just getting into historical fiction, if you want to put your toes in the water, I totally recommend checking out the series, the Accursed King series. But the reason why I was iffy going in was this book was published in 1955. And to me, that's a long time ago, obviously. I didn't know. I was like, because thinking of books published by then, it reminds me of, oh, like the books I had to read in school and all that. And I'm going to do a video about my thoughts on reading in English class, how you have to read books and all. Because after graduating high school and all, I have formed my opinion a lot more. But so I wasn't really sure, but then I love this book. This is how historical fiction should be written. I said that in my book review. Like, it is definitely a great book, and I can't wait to read The Strangled Queen, I think is the next one. So moving on, we have a graphic novel that I have waited months for. So it is Darth Vader, The Burning Seas. This is the second to last in the series, which is very sad because Vader is my favorite Star Wars character. And I've said that in like my past 3 videos, but this is 136 pages, and it took me 2 days to read because I could read it all in one day, but oh, it's the fun in that. And I gave it a 5 out of 5, and obviously the genre is science fiction. I can't really give y'all a synopsis of this because it is the 3rd in a series, and I'm gonna do a full-on review on Goodreads once the 4th one comes out in February and once I read it. So then our final book this month is The Way I Used to Be by Amber Smith. Now again, contemporary modern books just aren't really my thing, but I gave this a 5 out of 5 stars. So this is 367 pages. I started on September 26th and finished on September 29th. And the genre is young adult contemporary fiction and realistic fiction. So this book is about a girl named, and a big trigger warning about this book before I go in and start talking about it. So our main character's name is Eden, and this book starts out in her freshman year of high school, and there are 4 parts for each year of high school. So during her freshman year, when she is 14 years old, she was sadly raped by her brother's best friend, and that goes to show that it could be anyone. It's not just some random drunk guy at a bar who could sexually assault somebody. It could be somebody that already knows and trusts. And this book is basically going through how she deals with that and how she's trying to get back. She doesn't want to be the girl she was back then, and it's basically the different coping mechanisms that she goes through, or at least that's how I comprehended it. And just the effects that those traumatic sexual assault and all can be on somebody. And I do think this is a good book to read with the times we're in, like with the Me Too movement and all that, because I know a lot of people are in this, and it's going through how she could tell somebody what happened to her, and how I feel in today's movement when somebody waits a long time to come out and say that something happened to them. A lot of people are like, oh, it happened however many years ago. It's not true. They're just making that up, which no, definitely, I think this is a book everyone should read with everything that is happening in our society, with more and more people coming out of how they were sexually harassed or anything and abused matter. So I do recommend that book for this. This book, I didn't cry because books never make me cry, but this book did make me feel emotional. And like when Eden felt tense, I felt tense. Like the writer was very good at writing the emotions. And at some points I did feel sick reading this. Yeah, so I do think everyone should pick up this book. But again, huge trigger warning for obvious reasons. It's about rape and sexual assault. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and as always, comment, rate, and subscribe. Bye guys!